Hey folks, welcome to the show. I don't normally do a lot of speculation on Oilers lineups because there's so many different options you can choose from. But I had it thinking in my mind the thoughts about what the Oilers could do, what I would like to see. Just from one of my friends after watching the game last night, we were talking about what kind of lineups should we see. And we both agreed that perhaps the top line of Hyman, McDavid, and Nugent Hopkins should shake up. And that's not like an insult to that line. It's an incredible line, but it's obviously not working. You got one game left to prove yourself, and so you gotta change it up. And so I was thinking, okay, well, if you're gonna shake up Hyman, McDavid, and Nugent Hopkins, who do you move? Who do you take away from that line? Who do you take away from McDavid, Hyman, or Nugent Hopkins? And then I was kind of thinking, well, both bring their advantages, so who would be better with Draisaitl? And I was kind of thinking about that, and I figured, what if we took them both away from McDavid? Try something different. We've seen Draisaitl play with McLeod and Holloway. We also saw McLeod play with McDavid and Draisaitl last night, which did result in a goal in the third period. So when you're looking at the lines I set up here, I'm not saying McDavid should be dropped down to line 2. It's just the Draisaitl McDavid lines are both kind of a line 1. They're just kind of used based on matchups and whatever. So I decided, what if we did Hyman, Draisaitl, Nugent Hopkins on one line, and then have a fast, speedy line of Holloway, McDavid, and McLeod. After that, third line, it had to be Henrique. He's our third best center outside of McLeod. You could say Nugent Hopkins is a better center, but he hasn't been winning a lot of faceoffs, so he's been more of a winger lately. And at that point, it was kind of like, sure, we'll put Janmark on the left wing or Kane. I don't know if Kane's going to be there for Game 4, so I don't really care if you choose between Kane, Janmark, left wing, whatever. And I think Gagne should draw into the lineup. I think the Oilers are playing good without Gagne. I don't think he needs to be in the lineup, but I just figure I think we need a heroic moment. And maybe that's me panicking, but I'd like to see a heroic moment, and I think Gagne can pull that off better than any other bottom sixer. Not just because he has this year, but I think he has the heart. He got drafted here. He's great friends with a lot of people here. Joey Moss as well lives on in his heart, and I and maybe I'm thinking too much about the emotional video the Oilers released before the Stanley Cup Finals, but I think Gagne, even if he doesn't bring as much stability as a guy that he would replace, I think he will bring out a heroic moment. And I think he should draw into the lineup. It doesn't matter between line 3 or 4 for me. I think that's based on Kane, whether Kane's playing. And that's the same for Corey Perry. If Kane's not playing, I think Perry should be in because he should have that physical, nasty edge. If Kane isn't in, Perry should be in. If Kane is in, Perry could still be in. I don't mind having them both, but actually, Kane and Perry have been on the same line before, and it's worked out. But I wouldn't say it's necessary. Don't think there's a huge difference between Derek Ryan and Sam Carrick. I like them both. I'm just preferring Derek Ryan. One, personal bias, and two, I'm looking for more heroic moments. Ryan and Carrick are both good face-off takers, both good defensive forwards. The centers specifically, Carrick is more physical than Derek Ryan, whereas Derek Ryan has a better playmaking. And I think we're in the department for goals and not hits right now. Connor Brown finishes out the fourth line. He has been good in the playoffs last 2 rounds, and he's had some good opportunities. He's been great on the penalty kill. Yeah, okay. I was making sure I kept him on the penalty kill. Not that it matters. Like I'm not going to talk about the penalty kill down here too much because it does not matter. It does not matter. Whoever they put on there, it's going to work. I just put who I see the most of. You see the most of McLeod and Nugent Hopkins when it comes to the forwards, but you also see a lot of Henrique. You see a lot of Brown. You see Janmark. You see Ryan. You see Carrick. There's like 6 forwards the Oilers can choose from who will do really well. As for defense, I think they would all work well. All Ekholm and Desharnais are the best on defense. Bouchard can be on defense, but on the penalty kill. Yeah, I think he's good on the penalty kill, but you just you might as well let him rest during the penalty kill so we can play 27 minutes of even strike / power play. Nurse has been good on the penalty kill. So is CC, but I think CC should be drawn out of the lineup. So I replaced him with Broberg, who has seen some penalty kill time of lately. Speaking about defensive lineups, I think they should be the same from last game, except you replace CC with Desharnais. Kulak and Desharnais were each other's most common pair mates throughout the year, and that's the same for Echo and Bouchard, obviously. So that means we're elevating Broberg to the second line with Nurse, in my opinion. Again, Knobloch can do what he wants. He knows better than me. He's in the locker room. He knows these guys better than me. I'm just speculating at this point because I got that word in my mind thinking about, well, what I would do, and I decided I want to talk about it. Nurse and Broberg did play together in Game 3. They analytically, they weren't great. They were one of the weaker. They were the weakest of the Oilers pairings analytically, but where it mattered most, they were the best. They were a +1, unlike the other pairings. Nurse and Broberg were on for 1 goal against, which I do think was their fault. I do think they could have played it better, but they were also on for 2 goals for together. Broberg scored on a kind of a fluky goal that was an assist from Nurse, which I think Nurse played it really well. It was a secondary assist for Nurse, but I think he showed a lot of patience and control. His offensive abilities aren't talked about enough. Anyways, there's lots that's talked about Nurse, but that's something that should be talked about more in his favor. As for the power play, again, doesn't matter. I don't think you switch up who's there. You switch up how it's played. The 5 guys of Hyman, Draisaitl, Nuge, McDavid, Bouchard are very versatile. They can play any system you want. You did see they change it up in Game 3, and they did get more high-danger chances. Not the same amount of actual shots on goal. They were trying to shoot to the edge of Bobrovsky, because that's kind of what you have to do against these kind of goalies. But they were playing more instinctual rather than structured, which is something McDavid did talk about after Game 2. And I expect them to continue to do that, because it did feel like they got closer. They were able to get the puck closer to the net. They just missed. So as for the second unit on the power play, I'm not too picky. Nurse has been good on the power play in the past, so he's going to fill up there, because again, I like his offensive abilities. You could put Kulak or Broberg there to round up the second power play unit's defense. McLeod is usually the forward or the center for the second power play unit, and then on the wing, doesn't really matter. I went with Fogle and either Kane or Holloway, since those guys have the ability to turn nothings into goals better than other guys, but it doesn't really matter. Second power play unit doesn't see a lot of time, and doesn't need to, because the top power play unit isn't playing bad. They're just Bobrovsky's doing amazing, and like I said, I don't need to touch on the penalty kill too much, because it's amazing. It's the best Oilers penalty kill I've seen, and certainly one of the best penalty kills the playoffs I've ever seen. And again, it's not like it's always been these 8 guys. It's seen quite a few changes here and there. You can put McDavid and Draisaitl on there. I think obviously I think they do great there, but you don't need to. So if you don't need to play McDavid and Draisaitl, you don't. You save them for later when you really do need them. And like I said, there's so many good penalty kills on this team. Just looking at the forwards, I already said Draisaitl and McDavid could if we wanted them to, but we usually go with Nugent Hopkins and McLeod, who are great. There, Janmark, Henrique can, absolutely. Ryan and Carrick can. Brown can. Those guys are all really good at it. I think Holloway's gotten some penalty kill minutes as well, which is good. So, obviously, I'm not going to say there needs to be any lineup changes for the power play or the penalty kill, but if there is going to be 5-on-5 lineup changes, this is what I would do. At the same time, do the Oilers really need to do 5-on-5 lineup changes? Maybe if you're trying to create a spark or something, but the 5-on-5 Oilers did do really well in creating chances versus limiting chances. It's just a matter of converting them. So if you think that this lineup would convert better without allowing more, you go with this, obviously. And if not, you stick with what the Oilers had in Game 3, which, again, I was fine with. The Oilers outshot the Panthers by quite a large margin. The Panthers got outplayed in a way they don't get outplayed by a lot. I think ignoring the scoreboard, that was one of the worst games the Panthers have had all playoffs. But it wasn't a concern for them because they ended up winning 4-3. They rattled off 3 in the second period. They capitalized on the few mistakes the Oilers made, which just so happened to be really bad time, bad place mistakes. Like, if the Oilers make a mistake, it's not often, but if they do, it's in front of their own net. Like, choose anywhere else on the ice to make a mistake, please, and not right in front of your own net. Anyways, that's my opinion. Let's talk about Skinner. I've seen some people talk about throwing in Picard instead of Skinner. The only reason you can suggest that is because Picard has done good in the playoffs so far, and it's something Knoblauch has done before, but I don't think that's the case. It's not like Skinner is playing egregiously. An .826 save percentage, which is what Skinner had last night, is pretty egregious. But you look at the chances the Panthers had on their very few shots they had, they were all pretty high danger chances. Skinner had to step up in a lot of the chances he makes. The Oilers are a weird defense, and you're not going to get very many chances against the Oilers defense. They're very good at keeping you from getting chances in terms of quantity. But if you want a high danger chance, there's a good chance the Oilers defense will hand you one on a silver platter. And that's where Skinner comes in. And of course, at the age of 24, you're not used to guys like Alexander Barkov or Sam Reinhart ripping one 10 feet away from you. That does sound like I'm being a bit of an apologist for Skinner, but it's like I've said in like multiple videos now, I have no concern about Skinner's future. He looks incredibly mature and talented for a 24-year-old. So the problem is we need his future now, which is pretty hard to do. Most goalies don't hit their prime till 27. Skinner's 24. We need him to play like a 27-year-old. And I think he has the maturity, but he hasn't rounded out his game quite yet. But he has shown in these very playoffs that he can't take over a game. He showed that against LA. He showed that against Dallas. He had some good games against Vancouver at the end, though he didn't really have to take over like he did against LA when he had a 33-save shutout, or against Dallas in Game 6 where he saved everything but like one goal. So I don't think you take out Skinner. Obviously, if you do, then you have to think about the long-term effects on Skinner. I mean, if you think Picard's going to win you if you're convinced Picard's going to win you the Stanley Cup, you put him in. You don't care about Skinner's long-term future. But the fact is that I think Skinner and Picard have similar chances on giving you a Stanley Cup victory. Skinner a bit more. And if you take him out, then even if you're just doing it to send a message to the Oilers lineup, you are hurting Skinner's otherwise very impressive mentality and strength. So I don't think you do that either. Anyways, those are my thoughts, my stupid thoughts that don't matter because I don't think Chris Knoblauch will see this. If any of the Oilers do see this, I do believe in you guys. It's as Skinner said, if anybody can pull off a historic reverse sweep, it's the Edmonton Oilers of this year. Realistically, I don't have much hope in it, but I believe I'll watch the game. I'll do it. The only time a reverse sweep has happened in the Stanley Cup Finals was in 1942. Detroit Red Wings had a 3-0 lead on the Toronto Maple Leafs, who ended up winning 4 straight. So it can happen. It absolutely can happen. There's a reason series go to 4 games. But this series might not need 7. Hopefully it does. Not just for my sake, but I think for a lot of viewers' sake outside of Southern Florida. But again, love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Please leave a like if you think I've earned it, and subscribe and turn on notifications for more, because I will do a review of Game 4 regardless of how it ends. If the Oilers lose Game 4, it might come out a bit late, but we'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow night. Anyways, have a great rest of your day.